Hello, everybody. Welcome back, and welcome to episode 21. And I'm here again with my good friend Elsie. Elsie, how are you?
Hey, man, I'm good.
Welcome back again.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
So today, me and Elsie are going to talk about slasher films. We're just going to talk about slashers in general. We're not going to talk about any movie specific. So, Elsie, I have a list of movies in front of me, and I'm going to name them off, and then I got a question for you. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
I got Psycho, 1960. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. Black Christmas, 1974.
Now we're talking.
Halloween, 1978. Friday the 13th, 1980, and The Burning, 1981. Elsie, where do you think horror movies would be without these films?
That's a very good question. Well, they wouldn't be where they are now, that's for sure. The slasher, it's kind of a subgenre that, defined the 70s and especially, I think, the 80s.
Right.
In which you had every holiday was a slasher, especially after people always think that Halloween started, but really Black Christmas started the whole holiday slasher craze, and then Halloween made it even more famous.
Right, yeah. Black Christmas was the whole idea behind Halloween.
Yeah, and Black Christmas is it's definitely one of my all-time favorite, not just slasher, but horror films. You said Psycho, which is one of my all-time favorite films, just in general. I love Psycho so much, you would not believe, but Black Christmas is a huge one for me. And I've talked about this before, how much I love that movie.
Right.
In fact, I did another show about just that, how much I love Black Christmas. Because that one, I think, really it's a very well-written movie.
Mm-hmm.
All the characters are so wonderfully defined. You never get any of them mixed up. I think that's a movie that is underrated in so much as, it's a hella good script.
Right.
Just in general. Like, not even saying slasher. Just a really good script. And it has great actors in it as well.
Agreed.
Margot Kidder, of course. Cara DeLay from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, Olivia Hussey, who kind of goes back to the Psycho thing, because, in Part 4 she played Norman's mother. And she's a great actress. I'm a big Olivia Hussey fan.
Now, like you said, that Black Christmas started the whole kind of holiday horror thing, because then it moved on from Halloween. And then from Halloween, I believe it was My Bloody Valentine, then April Fool's Day, or was it April Fool's Day, then My Bloody Valentine?
I think My Bloody Valentine was first.
Then April Fool's Day, right?
I believe so, yeah. And then, of course, Friday the 13th was right on the heels as well.
Yeah, Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th was 1980. Which was and like another thing too about these movies, there's so many sequels to them.
Yeah.
And on the list that I just named, Halloween is my absolute all-time favorite slasher film. And I equally love Black Christmas too. Black Christmas is, like you said, a phenomenal movie. I mean, there's not really a slasher that I can think of that I was like, hey, was kind of a because slashers are like real, like, because for horror fans, they're real pleasure movies. Everybody loves a good slasher movie.
Yeah.
The Burning, a great movie. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, great movie. I can't think of, off the top of my head, I can't think of a slasher movie that really, like, I watched and was like, oh, that sucked.
Yeah, there are a couple, but they're usually the kind that nobody ever talks about, Because there are movies like, Graduation Day, which isn't wonderful. But I don't think many people talk about like Graduation Day or. If you want to talk slasher too, another one that I love is Terror Train.
Yeah, I'd never seen Terror Train.
Oh yeah, that's a good Jamie Lee Curtis one. It's set on a holiday on New Year's Eve, but I don't know that that's really all that important. Really, what's important is that it's set on a train.
Right, and you said that's a slasher. That's a slasher movie as well.
Yeah, it's a slasher. It's a whodunit type slasher. Not so much like Halloween where you know who's doing it. You just don't know. It's more like Scream, what would come later as Scream, where you're trying to figure out who the killer is.
Right. So the golden age for slasher film was what I believe is 1970 through 1984. What came before that?
Well, really, a lot of people say, that Peeping Tom was the first slasher even before Psycho. But I think it's safe to say that Psycho was, at least in my opinion, the prototypical slasher movie. That's really the one where it all began in terms of what we think of as slashers. A single killer with a knife and then that whodunit element.
Right.
And even though the kill count isn't what it would be later, because in Psycho, really only 2 people get killed. That is, to me, one of my all-time favorite films. I just love Psycho so much. It's one of those movies where, all the elements came together from the script by Joe Stefano, Alfred Hitchcock directing it, the cast playing their roles, perfectly.
Right.
And the music in Psycho is like a part of the movie. It's amazing in that way. If you try to take the music out of Psycho, it's like a different experience.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing with Halloween too. If you take the music out of Halloween, it's weird. You know what I mean? Because the music in Halloween is so iconic to Michael Myers that they go together.
Yeah, and that's another great example. Yeah, exactly. Because if you take I remember reading a thing where, a reviewer, I believe, saw Halloween before the music was in there, and didn't think it was scary. And then saw it again after John Carpenter put the score in there, and said suddenly, oh my God, totally different movie.
Right.
Suddenly it was scary. So yeah, it's a good example of where music is an integral part of the movie itself.
Right. What a big difference music can make in the movies. Now, not so much directed towards like us horror fans, but we're gonna step out of the box and talk about people that just watch horror like here and there. Okay. And so movies like Halloween, Friday the 13th, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, those are so noticeable movies to everybody that's not even big fans of the horror movies like we are, but movies like The Burning, people never heard, not everybody has heard of. What do you think makes Halloween, Friday the 13th, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies stick out more?
Well, I think that they came along at a time when no one had really seen a movie quite like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And Psycho is another example of that, because 1960, no one had seen a toilet flush. A few people noticed, but Halloween is the first American movie in which you see a toilet flush on screen.
Yeah. And
you say that now, and it's like, what are you talking about? But up until then, that was considered like taboo. You don't show a toilet flush, A lot of movies before then didn't even show a toilet at all. So I think that those movies came at a time when they did something that nobody had really done before, and it made people sit up straight.
Now, what I find, nowadays with the time and everything, it's really typical. But I have a little story I'm gonna share with you. It was kind of like a head scratch, because I didn't know like, you know how people wear band tees and, like, they don't know who the band is kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this happened 2-3 weeks ago with someone I seen at a store, and he was wearing a Halloween sweater. Now I have a Friday the 13th. You remember the Friday the 13th video game that they have?
Oh, you talking about the Nintendo
Yeah,
game?
the Nintendo one. Yep.
Oh yeah, I used to play that all the time.
I have a sweater with the like the case, the logo is on the sweater.
Yeah, I know exactly the logo.
So I was wearing the sweater, and I'm at I believe I was at Target or something, and I see, there was another guy there, probably a little younger, maybe like 17, 18 years old, and he had a Halloween sweater on, and I looked over at him, and I was like, oh hey man, that's a really nice sweater, I really like it. He's like, thanks man. I was like, you a horror fan? I was like, Halloween, what year did it come out? Just being funny, because you know how with the whole band thing. Oh, hey, Halloween, what year did that come? He had no clue. He wasn't a horror fan at all. And like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, you're not a horror movie fan at all. And it was just like, it struck me like, then why are you wearing this shirt? Like, is it cool? Is it cool just to wear the sweater? I didn't understand like the whole thing behind it when he was explaining. He couldn't tell me the thing, and I was like, oh, or when he told me he wasn't a horror fan at all, I found that very strange.
Oh wow, you're not a horror fan at all. You want to wear? I mean, that's an odd choice.
Yeah, right. Because it was the funniest thing. Because like I said about the whole band thing, so I'm like, hey, Halloween, you tell me the year it came out. Like being funny. And he couldn't tell me.
Yeah.
He's like, I have no clue. He's like, honestly, I'm not a horror fan at all. Well, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's kind of what I said too. And I was like, anyway, nice sweater. And I walked away. And I found that so strange. Like that whole day, I'm like sitting there like that was like the weirdest thing I've experienced.
Yeah, I think the only thing worse than that would be like if he said, "Oh yeah, Rob Zombie created Halloween. It was the greatest movie."
Oh yeah, I would have walked away faster.
Because I know that somebody out there thinks that because it's called Halloween, I'm sure if you're younger, you would think, well, Rob Zombie started that because it was the first Halloween. It's the Halloween.
Good point. If that's the only Halloween, because there has to be someone out there that the Rob Zombie Halloween was the only Halloween they seen. They'd never seen the 1978 original.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who probably saw that before they saw any of their earlier ones.
Correct. Like that's what I believe we were talking about that before with the Black Christmas thing. Is people go see the Black Christmas now, and then it starts like a trend, and they want to go see the original, which made me think was, wow, like I thought like horror was like, well, it is this thing that's special to me, but like I didn't know it was so trendy that people just wear sweaters because. For what reason? You know what I mean? I didn't know it was that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's odd. Usually when I see people who wear that kind of... But I see people at, like, conventions, and you have a pretty good idea that they're a horror fan, because they're at a horror convention.
Right.
But if I just saw someone out wearing a Halloween shirt, I would assume that you would at least, have liked horror movies. I think that would be a safe assumption.
Right. I don't know. That was... probably the strangest encounter I've ever had, and I felt weird about it. You know what I mean? I felt weird before I was walking away. I was like, wow, that was a little awkward. Yeah. I guess I was wrong. That's not a safe assumption. And which brings me to the thing, too, because the Halloween remake that just came out, was it 2018 or 17, 18?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one I'm talking
about. No, it was 2018.
18, yeah. That's right, 2018, and then the new one comes out this year. When I went to the movies, because like I said, Halloween is my favorite horror movie. I went to the movie to see it, and the theater was filled with a lot of people that you wouldn't think knows like the history of Halloween. You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of new faces. You're really looking. It's like, wow, there's a lot of like 14, 15-year-old kids here. It's like, it's just like, and it brings the thought back to my head is this just like a cool thing to do? Like go see like a random movie? Like, I've done it when I was a kid. I've go see like some random movie, but I've always been into horror. So like, it's like a different thing now that you see all these, strange things happening around you.
Yeah, and I think that's probably true. They probably are going to see it, because it's the new kind of cool thing to do. I mean, I remember going to see that remake of Nightmare on Elm Street at midnight when it came out, and looking around and just seeing people and going, yeah, I wonder how many of you guys don't have any idea about any of these movies, because they're very young. And I mean, I remember there were people taking their babies to see this midnight showing of Nightmare on Elm Street. There was a lot of baby crying in that movie.
That's strange too.
But the best part about it, because I didn't really care for the movie, but sitting next to me were these two people, and they were talking to the screen, and they were the most fun part about the movie,
Right. I love going to the movie theater and seeing, like, a movie, especially, like, when you go see Halloween and, it's been around for so long and you've seen all of them and you know all the history behind it and everything like that, and you go see the movie and you're in a packed movie theater and everybody's around you. Some people are getting scared, it's a real fun atmosphere to be in. It's you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, there's nothing quite like going to an actual movie theater and watching a movie that's, the kind of movie that's fun for an audience to react to. That's the one thing I hope doesn't disappear, which, some people, I mean, there's the industry thing where people talk about the fear that going to a theater and watching a movie will eventually go away because of streaming and home entertainment and stuff.
Yeah.
And I hope it doesn't, because as much fun as it is to watch a movie, in your home, you're never going to get that experience like, you have going to see, we'll say, a horror movie, and in a crowd full of people you don't know, and then watching them all jump at the same time. You're never going to get that in your living room.
No, correct. You're not.
And, that definitely is an experience that I don't want to go away. So, yes, it is a lot of fun to watch these kind of movies in a dark theater full of, anonymous fans who react, naturally to things that happen. Or, like I was saying about the Nightmare remake, or the people that are sitting over there, talking to the screen, which, as long as it's not, as long as it's appropriate and they're not talking about where they're going to eat later, that can be fun too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if it's not a very good horror movie, because then, like I said, that can be the best part about it, is, listening to the person tell the people, don't go in there.
Yeah, and you know what? Sorry. You know what happens to me? Because, like, I've been, I've seen my first horror movie. I was 6-7 years old when I seen my first horror movie. I was very young. Now, like, I get so excited. I always get so excited, like, watching horror movies. Even if it's like a movie I've seen 10,000 times, I still get excited to see it. But when I go see a newer movie, I get excited too. But I lost the whole factor of getting scared, like seeing horror movies. They don't faze me anymore. Like, do you have that same problem? Like, you just spend. It's like you're so accustomed to them, they just don't do anything. You just get the enjoyment out of them. But, like, I kind of miss getting the little scare, and I don't get that little scare no more.
No, I understand completely. It is definitely something that I've felt. And I think because working on the movies, then you see behind the curtain, you're like, it's like the Wizard of Oz. You see what the wizard looks like, right, because you know how they do everything and how it's all done, and that kind of takes a lot of the fun. So there's something that I try and do where I just attempt to take all that out of my mind and just experience the movie as a viewer. But when you've seen so many horror movies, you do get kind of case hardened to them where you don't have that scare reaction. And I think, I don't know if you're like this, but I've certainly been like this where, if I see a movie and it does give me some sort of like a reaction, or it makes me kind of nervous or anxious, I really love that because it's so rare.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Every so often a movie will come out and it'll just kind of get me a little bit, and that's a fun experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if, like, most movies I ever watch, I watch other genres of movie, but I always watch horror, like, probably every day. I watch a horror movie every day. So, for example, when I'm done with this show, if I go inside and I watch The Burning, I know I'm not going to get scared, but I'm going to get just the pleasure of watching it. But like you just
Yeah.
said, if for you go see a movie and for any reason it makes you nervous or feel some kind of emotion, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like, wow, this is really cool. Like, oh wow, that made me jump, or oh, I got that little butterfly feeling in my stomach. I'm kind of nervous. Like, those are great feelings. On top of already, loving the movie so much, now you get like that scared feeling, and it's great. It feels great.
Yeah, and I mean, I had that recently, and it wasn't a scare thing, but it was just sort of like, when the new Joker came out with Joaquin.
Oh, such a great movie.
Yeah, I was sitting there watching that, and it did at times make me sort of nervous or antsy because you just, he was so good, you felt like you were watching someone who was genuinely mentally ill.
Yeah.
And it just sort of it made me feel like, oh God, should I even be watching this poor man? Because he's so racked with his afflictions. But it gave me a gut reaction in a way that I enjoyed.
Actually, speaking about the Joker, let's chime into that for a second. I have mental health issues. I have anxiety and panic attacks. Watching that movie, that movie made me emotional. I'm like, because I have mental health, and that movie made me it was a real emotional to watch. That movie got the biggest rise out of me, and like all the mixed feelings I've gotten the longest time. I've never felt that way watching a movie. It was incredible. It was insane.
I can see that. Yeah, it feels like a very real, not glossy depiction of a man like that. It doesn't feel like you're watching someone playing a man like that. It feels like you're watching a man like that.
Right.
It's really a testament to Joaquin, because he's so there.
Yeah. I know he was on a strict diet. He went on a strict diet for that movie. That like everything he did to prepare for the role of that movie was absolutely insane, and it paid off wonderfully. I can't think of another person that could, do what he did with that character.
Yeah, I can't really think of anyone right offhand either. I mean, he definitely he knocked that one out of the park.
Yeah, that was special. And everything, from my perspective when I was watching the movie, like everything that he was going through and everything that was happened to him was relatable in a way, and it was just like, he's on screen, I'm sitting here in my living room, and for some strange reason, he's a fictional character, but we're connecting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the part that blew me away, and I'm sitting back like, fuck, like that is heavy. That's some crazy shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a good example of what movies can do when they're really good, is that they can connect with you in that way that is very personal.
Yeah, and not to mention the money that movie made was insane.
Oh man, I mean, it blows my mind how much money that movie made, because you watch it and you go, this is not the kind of movie that you would typically see make $1 billion in a very short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
It would be like, I don't know, it's a very indie type movie to have been such a big release.
Right.
But I love that. I think that's very encouraging.
That was, a phenomenal movie. The only thing, like, when they first released that movie, when it was coming out in the theaters near me, I don't know how it was near you, but near me, they had, like, kind of like a news thing where, they're like, oh, they made it really hard to go see it in the movie theaters. It made you, nervous to go see it. They kind of like they were expecting something bad to happen when you go see the movie. You know what I mean? Joker's coming out, blah, blah, blah. We're going to bump up security. We're gonna have extra people here. Everybody's bags getting searched, you're getting patted down, which is like, I understand because of everything that's going on, but I didn't like that the way they did it. You know what I mean?
Yes, no, I totally understand, because I remember when I went to see it, there were cops everywhere, and there was a thing posted that said that you couldn't come dressed up, you couldn't wear facial makeup, stuff like that. Because I guess if you did, they'd throw you out. And it didn't help that that guy, the crazy guy, thought he was the Joker and went and shot a movie theater. I think that was where a lot of it came from. Back when the Dark Knight came out.
Yeah, the Dark Knight. That's the one with Bane. But then again, like we talked about, it's that type of movie. There's a lot of really connected with me. It was a lot of heavy emotions in that movie. Other people have to feel what I felt in a different way. You know what I mean? But
and maybe part of it too, is that the plot of Joker is very much about, kind of an uprising of people, against the man,
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe that's what they were thinking of too, that it was like a sort of a transgressional thing. But I don't know. I mean, I just know that I really enjoyed the movie.
Me too. Such a good
and a good movie, you can outlive that sort of in the moment backlash deal. And once people forget about the controversy, that the movie still stands and is good, that's usually a good sign.
Right. So LC, to wrap up this great episode, what is your top 3 favorite slasher films?
Well, it would definitely be Black Christmas. It would be Psycho, and the number 3. Number 3. That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of too, because you have Black Christmas and Psycho. I have Halloween, My Bloody Valentine, and there's the third one. There's I'm like, oh, can I put The Burning there? Oh wait, just Friday the 13th should be there. There's so many slasher movies that are great. I mean, it's kind of tough.
Probably my instinct is telling me, so I'll just go with this, because it was such a film that I used to love to watch, and I still love to watch it. It's sort of like a warm blanket movie for me, having grown up with it, was the first Friday the 13th.
That's a good one.
So I'm going to go with Psycho, Black Christmas, and Friday the 13th.
That's a good lineup. That's a good top 3 right there. I got to go with Halloween, My Bloody Valentine, and The Burning for my top 3. And I go with The Burning as my third, as like a stomach feeling as well. Just, that's just the movie that feels right to be in my top 3.
Yeah.
Well, LC, thank you again for being on the show. I really, really appreciate your company.
Oh, man, it's no problem. My pleasure.
All right, thanks for being here.